Guess what, guys? Today we're making butternut squash ravioli. And this is not your standard butternut squash ravioli. It's butternut squash ravioli with brown butter, crispy sage, and toasted hazelnuts. Talk about fall, homey, cozy on a dish. I'm really excited to make this and especially eat it after. So let's get started. So it all starts with the hazelnuts. Yay, I love hazelnuts. They're so fall, so winter. I just wanna like cozy up and snack on them. But you really don't wanna eat them raw. They're not that good raw, so you really wanna toast them. They're just gonna release all the oils and they're gonna get nice and toasty and fabulous. And all you have to do is stick your hazelnuts with the skin on them into the oven at 375 for about 10 to 15 minutes until the skins look very toasty brown. You can see kind of the exposed nut starts to look toasty brown. And then you're gonna take them out of the oven and cool them, and then we'll peel them. So I'm gonna go stick these in the oven. Okay, so this dish is super easy to make, but it does take a little bit of prep because there's gonna be a few things happening at once. So prep is good. So I have my bowl here. This is what we're gonna plate our dish in. I have some cheese that we're gonna garnish. I have our nuts in the oven. Those are toasting. And then I'm just going to put some butter right into a nice skillet. It doesn't need to be as big as this one. I just like big skillets. Isn't this one pretty too? And then I have some sage leaves here. And we're gonna prep our sage leaves. So this is how they usually come in the store. There's like tons and tons of them. I really prefer the tiny little baby leaves. So these are kind of the smaller ones. If you touch the big ones, they have this kind of rough texture. When you touch the small ones, like this one, or let's see, or even like this one here, it's like lamb's ear soft. They're so soft and tender, and these are going to be more tender when you cook them too. So you want to use the baby leaves. They're the tender ones, and we're just going to take some time and pick these leaves off and set them aside, just a small handful. So our hazelnuts have cooled enough to touch. Definitely make sure they're cool enough. You can also use a kitchen towel and do this process if you want to do them hot, but I just find letting them cool is just so much easier. It only takes like an extra 5 to 10 minutes. So what you're going to do is you're just going to use your hands and you're just going to take the skins off. Just peel them off. I just like to take a few in my hands and just rub them until all the skin is off. The skin is going to be a little bit bitter and burnt since we did toast them in the oven. And I just like to kind of set them aside as I go. Also, by the way, if you don't want to use hazelnuts because you have an allergy or you don't like them, you can always just use pistachios. And those are also really, really delicious. You can even roast them a little bit and do the same thing. Our nuts are nice and peeled. We took all the skin off of them. And the last thing we need to do is we're gonna take just a Ziploc bag and we're going to stick the nuts right into our bag. And this is how we're going to kind of chop them up. So instead of leaving them whole, they're gonna be nice and finely chopped. And let's try one too. Oh my gosh. They're so almost sweet and toasty, and they just have such a unique taste. I don't even know how to describe hazelnuts, but they're just so yum. So perfect on this dish. So what you do, make sure you get the air out of the bag. And you're going to take a glass. You can use a water glass. I just have this cute little glass here. And you're just going to take the bottom of the glass and just lightly smash the nuts one time through on the front, and then flip them over and do the same thing. You don't want them to be super fine. I'm gonna set my nuts aside. I'm gonna move this out of the way, and I'm going to stick my ravioli on the burner in our boiling hot water and just follow the cooking instructions. Just put your ravioli on, and while the ravioli is cooking, we're gonna start our brown butter. It's brown butter time. I have our butter here, and I'm just letting it melt over medium heat. Our ravioli is going, so as soon as our ravioli is done, we're gonna take it off the heat, but we're gonna work on the butter in the meantime. As soon as this melts, I'll show you the next step. So our butter is completely melted here, and you can see that there's some bubbles forming. We have it over medium heat. You're gonna wanna turn this down just like a slight bit to kind of medium low, just so you can control the temperature. You don't want the butter to brown suddenly and surprise you. You want it to be low and slow. So you're just going to give this a nice stir. You can see that the butter is bubbling. This is the process that will take place right before the butter starts to brown. I'm gonna leave this be for a second, and I'm gonna drain our pasta, put it in the bowl, and then the butter will start browning. So I just grabbed our ravioli, we plated it, and you can see that our butter is just starting to brown. And when you see the brownness start, you wanna turn the temperature down now to low. And you're going to just turn your pan kind of in a circular motion. And that's gonna control the heat. You wanna make sure that there's even browning. If you let the butter just sit in the pan, it's gonna be really hard to kind of control the browning, and that's what you wanna do. You want it low and slow. So we're gonna keep doing this, turning the pan and stirring the butter often until you see that the butter turns like a mahogany brown, which is like a nut brown. That's what we're going for. So I'm going to keep turning my pan slowly, keep the heat low, and this will make sure that the butter browns really evenly. And you're just going to wait it out until the butter turns a mahogany, a nut brown, and that's when you know that you have perfect brown butter. It's gonna take maybe 2 minutes or so from the time that it starts bubbling to the time where you get some nice brown butter. Okay, our butter is beautiful. Look at this. It's a nice brown. It's perfect. It's not burnt. It's a perfect, beautiful brown. So it is time for the sage party. I love fried sage. And when I say fried, all you have to do is you're gonna take your brown butter, you're going to turn the heat off, and then you're just going to pop the sage leaves right in, and you're gonna see that they bubble up, and this is what's gonna fry them. They're gonna get nice and crispy. Oh man. Ooh, ooh. If you could just like be in here and smell the sage and the brown butter. It's just like an unreal smell. All right, we're gonna leave this for about 10 more seconds, and then we're going to get this all plated. Okay, it's time. I'm so excited to plate this. We have some ravioli here, and I'm just going to take our brown butter and crispy sage sauce and just lovingly spoon it onto our beautiful ravioli. Oh, look at it drip down the sides. Oh my goodness. It doesn't get better. And then to top this, we're going to whip out our baggie of hazelnuts that are perfectly toasted and chopped. And we're just going to put some right on the top. And then a final touch, we have some finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano. You can also use just regular Parm or even Romano cheese if you like that, or Pecorino. And we're just going to do a perfect little dusting. It is time to try. I had to get a little bit of everything. Ravioli, sage. It's like building the perfect bite. some toasted hazelnut, if I can get it. Oh my gosh. It's salty from the butter and the cheese. It's almost a little bit smoky from the nuts, sweet from the ravioli. The butter itself is just so luxurious. It is one of the single best pastas you will ever have. Trust me. Check out the full recipe on Tastefully Grace. You will not regret it.